Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 152 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor and Damon. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hello.
It seems like I have a lot of free time this episode. I looked at the thing and was like, gosh darn it, there's not actually even one thing. Maybe the food, maybe, but Tom wrote in there that might not even get to it.
Oh, if you want to talk about the food, I mean, we can bump it up.
I have 2 monitors now. Like, I got a lot I can accomplish here. I'm very excited.
I thought you might be interested in the lightsaber training for Galactic Starcruiser, but no,
because I'm not interested in the Starcruiser until I feel comfortable going. So
until you feel okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I was interested in that pin, the Gizmo Duck pin.
Oh, that somebody sent in our group, from Destination D23, yeah.
But I looked. Where did they get it from? In terms of I looked on eBay because I wouldn't mind one.
Sell it on eBay.
Oh, I wouldn't mind buying one on eBay, right? But I didn't see it on eBay, and I was actually kind of surprised I didn't see it on eBay.
Speaking of eBay, and I'll get into this in my review here, in my trip report here, but there's some trading cards that they give out at Space 220 if you order certain drinks, and they're sealed, trading cards. And I was posting, everybody gave them to me. They were like, oh, you can give them out on the podcast. I'm like, who's going to want these trading cards? And then somebody in the group was like, look at what they're going for on eBay. And I looked at what they were going for on eBay, and these stupid free trading cards were $50 plus people were selling these for on eBay.
That's crazy.
And now given there were no bids on most of them, so I was like, I don't know what the real value is here, but I was like, wow, $50 for these.
That's a lot.
Trading cards, yeah.
But before we get too into it, too, I rented my points. I got my first payment. So we're going to talk about that, 2 shows from now? Wait, 3 shows from now.
3.
1, 2, 3. 3 shows.
Not this show, not the next show, but the one after that show.
Okay,
right.
Yeah.
Episode 154? Yeah.
There we go. But anyway.
Yeah. So the next episode, to your point, Damon, the next episode we're going to have let's call it our post-Thanksgiving episode. We're going to have Derek on from DVC Resale Market, and then...
Wait, no Marissa?
Her name from Monera. No Marissa this time, just Derek, I think. Man. I don't know, maybe Marissa is coming. Derek did not mention it. But, I mean, maybe she's coming. We'll see. And then we have Sandra coming from Monera Financial. So if anybody has any questions for Derek or Sandra about Monera or DVC...
There's going to be a lot of Disney nerd episodes coming up.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. We need that every once in a while.
Yeah, it's the holidays, and, a lot of people will be traveling and doing other stuff. So, and there probably won't be a ton of news, although this is, there was a news dump this weekend because of Destination D23. But, yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So please send us your questions. We want to ask them fan questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to come up with questions, and the guys are going to come up with questions. We'd rather answer your questions.
I'm not going to come up with any questions, just so you know.
Okay, thanks, Damon. You're very helpful.
I mean, would you expect any less, though?
No, I wouldn't. Okay, and I don't think the fans would either. So that's good.
That's what I like to hear.
It must be nice to just have no expectations at all, Damon. It's
It is, actually. I have to say, though, it's only possible with the work of Trevor and Tom that I can keep my expectations so low. They don't make me carry too much of the burden, which is good. But it keeps me light and free. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To lob truth bombs at us, right?
It's one of those things where, they talk about, keeping your mind free so you can have new ideas, right? If I was bogged down, I wouldn't have ideas. I'd just be bogged down in the minutia of news, like Tom is.
Yeah.
We wouldn't get those hot takes.
Yeah, we need those hot takes from you.
Yeah. I think the other thing is I'm slowly going to morph into this, DVC rental / Vero / Hilton head, just knowledge connoisseur, and that will be where I fit.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's kind of what my goal is.
That's your goal?
Well, my goal might be to never go back to Disney World again. I don't know. Maybe that's a goal.
That's crazy.
I've already got all of my money, though, out of my contracts. I'm free. I'm free to do what I wish.
It's not even a money thing, though. It's why wouldn't you want to go back? That's the question, I guess.
I don't know. We'll see how nice Vero is. It gets into this whole thing of, as your kids get older, it's different. Like, going to Disney is a little bit more work, where it's really nice when your kids get older and have personality and have dreams and have goals to just and talk.
Relaxing stuff, yeah.
And talk and chat and kind of get everything out of that family situation. Disney's a little bit go, go, go. Even a relaxing Disney vacation still seems a little more go, go. And, you kind of sometimes need a break from that, I feel like. I mean, we're still going to Universal right before we go to Vero, let me be honest with you. But Universal it's just a little different, right? I don't feel like I have to put as much energy into Universal.
Okay. Yeah, so is there anything you guys want to talk about before I get into my trip report? Since I just got back, I haven't talked.
No, let me just bring up my 2 browsers and what. No, go ahead.
All right, so let's get into this, right? So, and you guys obviously chime in as we go along here. I don't want to be the only one talking. So we got to, obviously, I think I told everybody we were doing the cabin, right? So unfortunately, on the way down, it was kind of like a nightmare of traffic and rain. It was raining pretty good when we came in. So we didn't get there till like 6:00, which we had kind of planned on getting there. Like, I think our room was ready like 4:30, which was pretty early, I thought. It actually might have been a little earlier than. It might have been like 3:30, because I think we left my mom's house right when we got the message that it was ready to go. And so we actually got the cabin. So, and I guess I didn't realize this. There's like a private parking lot for the cabins, right? And there's one off to the right. And so and our room was right off to the right, but it was also like literally directly across from the parking lot, right? So even though it was raining, we were like right there. But because it was raining, I still brought my bags to the concierge and everything, and had them pick it up. But then once we actually got to the parking lot, I was like, oh, this is stupid. We were literally like 50 steps away from the parking lot.
You should have just brought your stuff with you.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. But it was raining, and we were just kind of like, all right, let's just drop the bags off, right? Because we didn't know how long the walk was going to be, right? So it's just a tiny little parking lot. The funny thing was, though, that we get to the parking lot, and it's gated, right? It's got a gate. So I go, and you have to scan your MagicBand to like confirm that you're staying there, right? So I go to scan my MagicBand, and my MagicBands are not working for this reservation for whatever reason. So I can't get the gate to open. So there's a call button. I keep pushing the call button. Nobody's answering. And I'm like, well, great. What am I going to do now? So I actually got the idea to pull up a room unlock on my phone. Not sure if it was going to work in this, case. I assumed that it was kind of a similar system. So I pulled up the room unlock on my phone, and I scanned that, and that worked. And so it got me into the parking lot. But yeah, we had an issue with our MagicBands just not working for whatever reason for that reservation. So I don't know, kind of odd.
Did you get it fixed, or what?
We did. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we did. We got it fixed. And actually nobody on our reservation, because we had my sister and my brother-in-law on the reservation too, and their MagicBands didn't work either. So for some reason, the MagicBands just weren't working with that reservation. Don't know why. I also, kind of a funny story. So I think I've told everybody on here before that my DVC guide is also a good friend of mine, that I've known for a long time. Just recently got rehired by DVC back in her role. And so my wife, while we're pulling up, she's getting a call. And she says it says DVC on the caller ID, and I'm like, why would DVC be calling us? Like, that's really weird. And I was like, just let it go to voicemail. Like, we were in the middle of getting our bags out, right? And she looks at me and she goes, you don't think it's your friend calling, right? And I'm like, no, why would she call from DVC? And sure enough, we listened to the voicemail, and it just turns out that my friend, again, who's also my guide, was working at Wilderness Lodge while we were there. So it actually worked out well, because we went over to the main lodge to go see my friend, and she was busy doing something else for a moment. So while we were waiting, we went and got the bands fixed. So, and we also went over to Geyser Point, which is, not that new at this point, but new that I haven't gone to it, yet, to get some food. And that was really great. We got a whole bunch of food there. That was really good. We did carry out. So, we did mobile order and then walked it out. But the cabins are ridiculous, right? I mean, I think everybody knows this. The cabins are so nice. The view is amazing. just the design of them is great. I think they're like 1,700 square feet. They're the really just very, very nice rooms. Really nice kitchen, just like a nice a fake fireplace, which we realized didn't seem to put out any heat at all, but it was nicely decorative. Like we didn't really care that much. It's interesting that there are only 2 bedrooms. So they're only 2-bedroom cabins. But they can sleep a lot more because they have the pull-out couch, and they have one of those chairs that turns into a bed, which was actually kind of funny at one point because my wife and I were dragging a little bit. We had got up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, driven all the way from North Carolina there, so we were a little tired. And my sister and brother-in-law were out at dinner. They were doing the California Grill thing, the special anniversary dinner. And so we wanted to stay up for them to get back because they weren't going to get back till like 8 o'clock or 11 o'clock. And so we were getting a little tired. So we were just hanging out in the living room watching, whatever on TV. And I said to my wife, I was like, listen, if you're tired, just turn that chair into a bed and just lay on the chair right in the living room there. So that's what she ended up doing. She just was like laying on this, pull out chair bed for a little while. But we made good use of the private hot tub, which was fantastic. Really, it holds like, it says it only holds like 4 people, but it holds like, 5 or 6. But then when they started doing the fireworks at Magic Kingdom, they actually there's like a little knob by the hot tub where you can turn on the music, and there's always music playing. So they always have some sort of music playing. But obviously when the fireworks come on, they play the fireworks music, which was great. And so that was a lot of fun. And then electrical water parade. So that came right in front of, we actually watched that from the closed in area from the porch of the cabin, which, when we talked about this before, the 50th anniversary stuff that they were doing, I thought it was just like one barge. They turned all the barges into 50th anniversary, and it's like, it looks amazing. They did a really great job with it. And they also I don't think that they were doing this before because I don't remember it, but they could have been, but they weren't piping the music through the speakers. They just, were piping everything through the speakers on the floats. And they were specifically calling out the resort that you were at. So they were like Wilderness Lodge, the 50th anniversary, and doing like a whole thing there. So that was interesting, but it was cool to kind of watch it from there.
Yeah. I don't remember ever hearing anything like that at the Polynesian.
Yeah. Like every resort they went to, they specifically called out that resort, which I was like, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't think that they were doing that before, but they did. So that was cool. So, that was really our time in the cabin. Cabin was amazing. Really great. We had a really great time there. I wish we could have stayed longer than we did. We stayed up as late as we could and got some breakfast over at Roaring Fork, did some takeout breakfast. Didn't see a single soul walking from the cabins to Roaring Fork, but the ones I got there was a whole bunch of people waiting for breakfast, obviously. So, but it felt oddly quiet. So we didn't rope drop or anything. First day we went to Magic Kingdom. We didn't really get up early. We just kind of got there at 9:30, which was fine. It wasn't like super late, right? The park opened at 9. Although technically I think it opened at 8:30 for resort guests, right? Because they're doing the early morning, half hour early. And it was crazy. I've not seen crowds like that in quite a long time. I think it's the busiest I've gone to Disney in a long time. It was extraordinarily busy. I was a little surprised. Now, given I shouldn't be surprised, right? It was a holiday. There was a race weekend the weekend before, so I shouldn't have been surprised at how busy it was. But it was very busy. And then we had not activated our annual passes yet, so we had to go to guest relations. And the line for guest relations was really long, like really long. We should have gotten them activated well beforehand. We just didn't think about it.
Yeah. You actually should have probably gone to the TTC. Would have been faster.
You're probably right about that, but it's just something about taking that boat right from Wilderness Lodge over to Magic Kingdom. But yeah, you're right. It probably would have been way better. It did move very fast, and we actually got to talking to a couple in front of us that were annual pass holders, also DVC members. So we talked to them for a little while. That was nice. As an older couple, they were very cool. But I mean, the parks were. I mean, Magic Kingdom was packed. I mean packed. Like it was very busy. But we started out. We went straight to Tomorrowland. We did get Genie Plus for this day. So I'll talk about Genie Plus. I have a lot of thoughts on it. But we got Genie Plus. I actually had a problem buying it. It wouldn't let me buy it for whatever reason. So there was a little bit of an issue there buying it. but eventually I got it. We started in Tomorrowland because our first Genie Plus reservation wasn't until a little bit later for Haunted Mansion. So we were just like, let's go to Tomorrowland. So we did standby for everything. So we did, actually, no, wait, I take it back. I think we did we do Buzz Lightyear? Yeah. We did Buzz as the first Genie reservation, right? So it was like, I think it was at like 10:30. So we're like, all right, let's go do other stuff, right? So we did the standby for Space Mountain because it was like 40 minutes. Wasn't bad. Really moved very quickly. Then we did People Mover, Carousel of Progress, which I posted a thing on the Facebook group. We actually got stuck on Carousel of Progress. I don't think anybody like got up and tried to like leave or whatever. I heard something break. Like I heard something happen that sounded not good, and it just stopped. And so we were halfway moving between scenes when it stopped. And so we ended up actually having to rewatch the scene that we were stuck in. And then when they finally got it moving again, we had to rewatch. We saw like half of the next scene because I guess they can't just restart the scene, right? The scene just like goes, right?
Oh, so the animatronics just play regardless of whether the ride has moved. Oh,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was kind of funny because we watched the last scene twice all the way through, and we watched the scene before it 1.5 times. So that was pretty funny. But that we blew through Tomorrowland like pretty quickly. It wasn't bad at all. And then we went over to Haunted Mansion. We did our Genie reservation. It was looking like it was going to rain, and boy, did it rain. We went to Big Thunder and started waiting online because it was like, I think it said 45 minutes. And, truth be told, over the whole vacation, even though the parks were very busy, most of the lines were like 45 minutes to an hour. We usually waited like 30 to 40 minutes. So like, it really wasn't that bad. The lines were moving. We were, doing a lot of standby, and it really wasn't that bad. But we went to Big Thunder. We're waiting online. We're outside of the queue at this point, right? So like, the line is extending outside of the normal queue. It's into like the temporary kind of queue situation. They've got the person at the end of the line with the sign that says, wait from this point is 60 minutes or whatever. And then it starts pouring. It just starts pouring. So we all put on our ponchos, but it's one of those rains where it's raining so hard that we're getting soaked through our ponchos. And it was rough. So, but we decided to stick it out, right? So we decided to stick it out. And I mean, so much rain, there was rain coming. There was literally like a waterfall coming down the steps of Big Thunder. You know what I'm talking about? Like right when you go under like the sign of Big Thunder, there's those steps right there. It was literally like a waterfall. Oh,
so okay, yeah. Like so the path actually was just flooding at that point.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
It was pretty bad. But then we were thinking to ourselves, okay, because a lot of people bailed at that point, right? So a lot of people got out of line. So all of a sudden now the line is cooking, right? So we're moving pretty good. And now we're thinking to ourselves, wait a second, we're going to go on Big Thunder in the pouring rain. That should be interesting, right? So, which it was a lot of fun actually. But, the thing that made me laugh the most was the cast member when we got, like when you're standing online waiting for the next train to come up. And, the cast member standing right there, this one cast member talking about, she's like, man, like, I really wish it would thunder so I could be done for the day. It's just like, I was like, all right, I get it. You want to be done. But it was just funny that she was hoping for thunder, and it never actually thundered. Like, there was no lightning or thunder. It was just rain. So they didn't close it, right? So, and I actually asked the person at the front, I said, well, like, what amount of rain will make you close it? And she's like, well, we only close it if there's lightning, or if it rains so hard that we can't see on the cameras. So those are the only times that we actually close it. So I guess neither one of those things happened. So then we did Splash Mountain, Pirates, the Tiki Room after. We actually did the Tiki Room specifically because it looked like it was going to rain again. So we were like, all right, let's hop in Tiki Room and maybe it'll pass by the time we're done with Tiki Room. But it didn't. And so then our bright idea is, we're right by Jungle Cruise. Let's hop in the Jungle Cruise line. Most of it's covered. And, that way if it rains, it's a long line, but it's going to rain and we'll just wait under cover. And, so it broke down though, while we were in line. It actually, Jungle Cruise broke down, which I was like, what can break down on Jungle Cruise besides one of the boats? And the answer was one of the boats. One of the boats broke. And so we actually, what did you going to say?
I said, of course.
Yeah, of course. But it was funny because I've never seen this before. They got the other boat all the way to the dock, the one that broke, and they used one of the other boats to push it backwards into, I guess, the maintenance area, which was interesting to watch. But here's where the problem comes in with Lightning Lane, right? So we're in line. We're not that far away from the front, right? But because it's been broken down now for like a half hour and we've just been waiting in line. Now, listen, this was great because we stayed out of the rain. We were covered the whole time while it was pouring rain. So it actually worked out in that respect. But so we're standing there, and because there's a backup in the Lightning Lane, we realized that when it's like that, when there's a breakdown for a while, they basically let no standby people in. They just let all Lightning Lane people in until it was completely emptied out. And then they started letting standby people in there. So we waited for like, oh gosh, probably well over an hour, which is probably the longest we've waited ever for anything at Disney, because we just usually don't do standby lines that are that long. We just avoid rides like that. So that being said, after the frustration of waiting and thinking about bailing on it like 10 times, it's the Jingle Cruise right now, right? And it was fantastic. It was literally like about 5 minutes into it, we all like looked at each other. We were like, worth it, totally worth it, because the skipper we had was really funny. The holiday jokes were excellent, and then the overlay was great. I mean, just the overlay is really well done. The new scenes that are part of it are great. There's a lot of really funny new things that they do with some of the new scenes. So I mean, even though the wait was a long time, like we laughed so hard on Jingle Cruise. We had such a good time. It's really the new one is well done. And even our skipper was like, while we were going through the cave, he was like quietly and creepily singing a Christmas song over the intercom. Oh, no. Yeah, it was like he was singing. I don't even remember what song it was, but he was doing it in like a really low voice, and it was so creepy and funny. But yeah, it was great. It was great. We did some popcorn at the confectionery, the new popcorn thing. So, you can get candy in there and chocolate and all that fun stuff. So we did that. I also had to laugh too, because we made a stop at the bathroom on the way out. And, when I walked in, there was a guy at the urinal with a Mandalorian helmet on, just standing at like a full on, like they sell like, it's not movie quality, obviously, but it's like $100-some Mandalorian helmet. And there's this guy just in the bathroom at the urinal, just with the hat on, with the helmet on, and it made me laugh so hard. Just such an odd thing to see, So we saw that, and then we hopped on the monorail, went to EPCOT because it was only like 7 or like 7:30 or so, and that night they closed at 8:00 because of the Christmas party. And we weren't doing the Christmas party. So we decided to head over and with the masses of people that were headed to Magic Kingdom, we were kind of glad that we weren't going to the Christmas party, even though it just, it obviously looks worse than it is, right? So it looks way worse than it is. So anyway, that was, we went over to Epcot. We got lucky. We caught the train right as it came in both times. So like we got the express train right to the TTC and then hopped right on the Epcot monorail, which was great. It was really nice to ride the monorail to Epcot again. Like it's one of my favorite things at Disney is riding the Epcot monorail. But the beacons of magic on Spaceship Earth, okay? The points of light, right? Best thing that Disney's ever done. I'm going to say it right now. It's a hot take, but I don't care. I stood there and I stood there in front of Spaceship Earth looking up at this, watching the show that they do on it with my mouth open, just like in sheer, like it was awe-inspiring. It's amazing. And I think if you ask anybody that's been since they put this up, they would tell you it's like one of the best things. It is amazing. It's incredible. I don't know how else to put it. I think it's my favorite thing they've ever done. It makes Spaceship Earth so much more cool and so much more magical, and it's just amazing to watch. I could have stood there all night and watched it.
Now, so was it actually doing anything, or was it just kind of cycling colors, or? So
most of the time it cycles colors, right? But then there's like a I don't know how long it is, or 5 or 10 minutes. Every 10 or 15 minutes they do like a full show that's like synced to music. Oh, okay. So yeah, it's so good. So it's synced to the music, and all the lights around the entrance are synced into it as well. and then just the different things that they do. And I took a couple videos of it. I don't know if I posted them on Facebook or not, but man, you have to be there to see it. It's so cool. Even the people that were with us, were like, this is amazing, very, very cool. We loved it. So, also, we did Belgium. We for food and wine, I had myself a Belgian waffle. That was pretty good. Trevor, we had some poutine. Legit poutine though. It was legit. Okay. It was just the gravy and it was the curds. And although they did throw some like Boursin cheese on there too, because I think that booth is sponsored by Boursin, but
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So they threw. It's just still legit, right? But it was good. It was really good. In fact, we got that, and then they also had one that had like I think it's like beef brisket or something on it too, which I know is not traditional, but that was really good too. And then
you can have the non-traditional. It's just I hate when they claim it's poutine, but there's more other stuff on it than
I get
actual
what you're saying.
poutine.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. We also did the noodle station. There was like a place that had like noodle stuff. So we did that. We also did Club Cool and the Creation Shop. So Creation Shop is really nice. It's huge. First of all, it feels gigantic. It feels way bigger than Mouse Gears was. Like it's a very grand spot, and it's also like, I think somebody I forget how they described it, but they made a joke about how modern it is, and it is. It's very modern, right? But it also has a lot of really cool Disney, like feel to it, right? And it's very Epcot. It feels very Epcot. Although, walking through it, didn't find a single thing that I wanted. I've been trying to find an Epcot shirt that has the Epcot logo on it, and that's all I want, right? And I can't find that, and I don't understand why I can't find a t-shirt that just has the Epcot logo on it. Not even like spelling out Epcot. I mean like that kind of I don't even know how you describe it. It's like it almost looks like an atom kind of thing. You know what I mean? That logo?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't find it anywhere.
It sounds like you have to just not go to Disney.
Yeah, get it from somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'd think they'd be selling everything with that logo on it, right? Like, but they did have one thing but it was, a lot of the stuff was very like, they were doing like an 80s like thing, right? So they were doing clothes that felt very much like they were of the 80s, right? Which I get why they're doing that. But one of them was like, the only thing I could find that had the logo on it was like a t-shirt that had a zippered pocket on the front of it. And I'm like, I'm not buying a t-shirt with a zippered pocket. That just looks stupid to me. Like, it just doesn't look good. In my mind, for me anyway. Maybe somebody cooler than me can pull it off, but I definitely would not be able to pull that shirt off. It just looked odd. But anyway, Club Cool, important thing to talk about, right? So we waited probably 15 minutes or so. We waited like 10 minutes outside, and then they let you into the building and you wait again, which, it's funny because you don't think that you think that after you wait outside that you're going to go right to one of the things, but that's not the case. So you wait outside, and then there's another line inside where you wait for the actual, soda machines. And they are one per party right now, right? So same kind of thing. I'm happy to report that the floors are still sticky. Very sticky. I actually talked to the girl that worked there about this. I was like, are the floors still sticky? And she goes, I never worked at the old location, but I heard that they were always really sticky. And she goes, she's like, we steam clean these floors every night. She's like, I don't understand how they're always sticky. And I'm like, it's part of the Club Cool charm, right?
Yeah.
So
people have talent for making your
spilling
sticky.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the clear winner for us, the two clear winners, I would say, were Country Club, which is like a creamsicle kind of soda. And everybody in our group really liked the cucumber Sprite, too. Everyone was a big fan of the cucumber Sprite. The worst one by far was a soda from China that tasted like they made it using like cigarette butts. Like it was horrifically disgusting. I don't know who could possibly even drink that. And like way worse than Beverly, like 1,000,000 times worse than Beverly. It was really gross. So
I was going to ask if it was worse than Beverly. That's surprising.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we didn't have anybody that we could get trick into having Beverly this time. But what are you going to do? So Yeah, I mean, it was bad. I mean, you'll have to try it when you go, just to try it, right? Just give it a sip, but I literally, typically I reuse cups at Club Cool. I don't like to waste a lot of cups, so I'll reuse the cups. After I drank that one, I was like, I need a new cup. There's no cleansing this cup. This cup is now poisoned and needs to go away. It's like, it's so bad. So bad. But Club Cool's really nice. The new version is nice. I mean, it still has the charm of the first one. It's just, and it's got some really cool features into it. It's probably about the same size as the old one. It's kind of smallish, but I mean, the old one wasn't exactly huge either. So, but it was great. We had fun, and there were some really good sodas there. We really liked a couple of them. So anyway, after that, we left Epcot. We drove. We took a bus back to Wilderness Lodge. We grabbed our car. We drove over to Saratoga, which, this is my first time staying at Saratoga. Saratoga is huge and confusing. I realized very quickly. It's just, not that I hadn't been on property before, because we'd been to the spa there, but like when you're trying to find your room, it's almost like, different, Mm-hmm. And the people we were with were staying at Saratoga as well, but they were in like, when you first get in the gates of Saratoga, there's a right that you can make immediately that goes over to, it was a Grandstand. They were staying in Grandstand, and we were in Congress Park, which was like literally the opposite side of the entire property. But it's a big room, really big rooms, really like the refurb that they did. It's very nice, really well put together. I will say, so I ended up, and maybe this is just my wife and I being spoiled by having a king size bed at home, but the bed that was in there was a queen size bed. And we were just kind of like, yeah, we kind of want some more space to kind of like stretch out, So I ended up sleeping in the pull down from the wall. Very comfortable. Really, really nice. I really enjoyed sleeping in it. So I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, if it's just my wife and I, but we don't care. We'd rather sleep better. So
yeah, I mean, makes sense. I know what you mean. The beds are definitely smaller when you do have a king size bed, but yeah, we've always just sucked it up and gone with it.
Yeah, I mean, we do too. And the first night we slept in the queen size together, and then the next day my wife and I both kind of had the same revelation at the same time. It's like, how about we sleep separately? She's like, yeah, that's great. Like, because we just both didn't sleep great, So we were like, all right, we have this other bed there. Why don't we go and use the other bed? So that's what we did. But it was comfortable. It was nice to check that out and try it. But yeah, everything was really, really nice. It was a nice resort. We were on the first floor. So we were, and we also had a room on the end. So I don't know if that meant our room was a little bit bigger or not, but it was a good spot. So next day, Hollywood Studios. And I didn't know this before going, by the way. I think they announced this like the week that we were going, but this was Disney Plus Day. Right. And so they decided to give everybody, all the resort guests, an hour early entry, because they were giving Disney Plus subscribers a half hour early entry. So they extended it 30 minutes for resort guests to make it an hour early, which was great. Right. So I decided, because it was so early, I was like, why don't we drive there? We've got the car right here. The nice benefit of Saratoga. The car is right outside our door. Let's just drive, right? So we drove over there. Didn't really have any problems getting there. And we waited a half hour for Rise of the Resistance. We walked right to Rise of the Resistance, we didn't even really wait. The line just constantly moved for 30 minutes, meaning I think we were just filling in all the available space. It just took us 30 minutes to get to the front of the line. You know what I mean? So that was great. I mean, we got Rise of the Resistance done. We didn't have to wait a long time. We didn't have to do a lightning lane for it. We literally just went right over there. We rope dropped it, and we got pretty much right on, which was great. So we had a lot of fun doing that. We also, right after that, decided to go to Smuggler's Run, since we were right there. Waited 30 minutes for that in the standby. So got that knocked out. We had our breakfast at Ronto Roasters, which I'd never eaten there, and that was actually delightful. It was really, really good breakfast there. We met up with some friends as well that were also there. We did a lightning lane reservation for Tower of Terror. We also did one for Toy Story. And then we waited in the standby for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which was fun, as always. But I think we probably waited for that ride longer than anything else. I want to say we waited in the standby for 45 minutes or an hour, something like that. I'm going to say this about Genie Plus. I was going to talk about this at the end and just kind of give a wrap up, right? So I don't know if I can really make a judgment on this with how busy the park was. I don't know if it's I mean, here's the thing. It was worth it with how busy the park was because we were able to get Lightning Lane reservations for the busiest rides, right? But the maximum we got was 3. We never got more than 3 in a day because the busiest rides were, you know, by the time we got to do a Lightning Lane for them, they were already like in the afternoon and it was still morning. You know what I mean? Now, something we realized though, and I did not know this going in, and listen, this is a new system, so we're all still trying to figure it out. You can keep refreshing it and the times will change, right? So,
I was wondering that.
Yeah. So and you know, I didn't know that at first, but now obviously I know that. But so like at one point, like Tower of Terror was not till like available till like 6 o'clock, right? And then it was like 10. Right. So we're like, that's crazy. Like, let's not do that. So, but then we kept refreshing it. And then all of a sudden a Tower of Terror popped up for like 11 for like a half hour from when it was. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let's grab it now. So it almost,
this is kind of the same thing that happened with the old Fast Pass system.
It is.
Or like it is. How you would walk reservations up. Yeah. Okay.
It's really not all that different, honestly. It's not all that different. The biggest difference is that you're not scheduling them ahead of time. You're doing it day of, right?
Yeah.
And that it costs money. Like those are really the big differences. You're still going through the same exact lane. You're scanning your bands the same exact way. It's essentially the same thing. And I also noticed too that, you know, the whole idea of it telling you what ride to go to next, when it's really busy in the park, it doesn't even bother. Because, like, there's no... yeah, so, like, we had no recommendations most of the time because it didn't have anywhere to tell us to go. So
poor Genie's just like, I got nothing.
I got nothing. It's busy. Deal with it. Yeah, like, that's pretty much what was going on, you know? But we felt like we got most of it taken care of. You know, like, I think it was... By the time we got to, like, 5 o'clock, I finally had the... I've wanted this for, like, 3 trips now, was the Jack Jack cookie, you know, that everybody talks about, the chocolate chip cookie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I finally got that, which was really good, but it was also super sweet and very large, and I couldn't eat all of it. But, you know, we did everything really that we wanted to do. We also did Alien Swirling Saucers because it's a stupid fun ride, and there was, like, no wait for it, so we did that. You know, of course, we did Toy Story. We did all that. Tower of Terror got done. You know, we did basically everything that we wanted to do. So by 5 o'clock, we were like, let's go over to Epcot again. Why not, right? So we hopped on the Skyliner. Plus, we wanted to ride the Skyliner. That's the other thing. You know, we just like riding the Skyliner. So we want... Yeah.
No judgment there. I like it.
Yeah. So we hopped on the Skyliner, took it over to Epcot, had some cheese bread in Brazil, which if you haven't had the cheese bread in Brazil, excellent choice always for Food and Wine, because that's one they have every year. We did Spaceship Earth. We actually did Living with the Land because I really wanted to see the holiday overlay with Living with the Land, which for whatever reason they had it all done, but they didn't have... It's like somebody forgot to flip a switch. Like none of the stuff was turned on for some reason, which was kind of annoying, but you know, whatever. Then we did Figment. We went on Figment because my one friend that was with us had never done Figment, so we're like, oh, let's go do Figment. Which, you know, you lose a little bit of something with Figment when you can't smell through the masks. You know, you lose the smell part. But you know, it's everyone knows how that ride is. But so we finished with Spaceship Earth, and we kind of just, you know, we were kind of just snacking on things here and there and grabbing some drinks and food and stuff as we walked around. So at about 9:30, we were at Spaceship Earth, right? Park closed at 10. We're at Spaceship Earth. And we're like, all right, let's go back to the Skyliner. Because remember, my car is still at Hollywood Studios, right? And Hollywood Studios closes at 9. So it's 9:30. And I'm like, all right, we got to go to the Skyliner. We're all the way in the front of the park, but we got to walk all the way to the back, right? So I thought that Harmonia started at 10. Really, it started at 9:45. So at 9:45, we finally got over to the Skyliner, and while we're walking into the Skyliner, we notice a sign that says Disney Hollywood Studios Skyliner line closes at 10 p.m. It's 9:45. So we were like, oh no, what are we going to do? Because we still got to take the Skyliner to Caribbean Beach, and then we got to hop on the Hollywood Studios line to get over there. So, and you know, the Skyliner can stop sometimes, right?
But that still would have given you enough time unless it did stop, right?
So we got to we moved pretty quick, right? So luckily it didn't really stop, right? But it's only because on that Epcot line, you end up going through a Riviera, you know, and you go real slow through Riviera, and, you know, anybody might get on or off or whatever. And then you also have that turnaround that's really slow too, right? So we didn't get to Caribbean Beach, the main hub, until 10:05.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. So we were like freaking out the whole time. And it's unfortunate because we could watch Harmonious from the Skyliner. I mean, you could see all of it from the Skyliner, but we were also like concerned about us getting back to the car in time, that we really weren't paying attention. But luckily, in true Disney fashion, it was still open. So when we got there, we ran over to the Hollywood Studios line, and they were like, "Oh, you're so good. We're open for like another, you know, whatever." So we luckily were able to get in there, get our car, no problems. But it was a little bit scary at the time. So, and then so Epcot, day 4, Epcot didn't open till 10 a.m. that day. So we decided to kind of sleep in a bit. I kind of like this 10 a.m. opening for Epcot because it's like gives you a chance to kind of rest. You don't have to wake up and get there early. But we got boarding group 21 for Ratatouille. So we got an early boarding group, which was nice. And they had actually said like 11:45, which was a pretty big concern for us because our Space 220 reservation was 12:30, right? So we were like, oh no, like this could be bad, because I've heard of people having to wait for a long time at Ratatouille, and I wasn't about to give up my Space 220 reservation. So the funny thing was, though, we walked in the park like right at 10 o'clock, and we got called immediately to Ratatouille. So we went straight back there. The ride was a lot of fun. It's a great addition to Epcot. Great family ride. Just super fun. Really well done. That whole section is really well done. We didn't wait for long, but we had a really fun time on it. I will say it's a definitely a fun ride. And then I got myself a croissant donut over at the Epcot experience. Now, I was hungry, but I didn't want to ruin my lunch for Space 220, you know? So like I was kind of like, I need a snack, right? Because there's, you know, food coming up, and it's appetizer and entree. So it's like, all right. So we happened to go to Epcot experience on the way over. And so we stopped there, and I got a croissant donut, which was really good. Space 220. Okay, we'll talk about this. Probably my favorite dining experience I've ever had at Disney. It was fantastic. Honestly, I know we've been waiting for this for a couple of years now, and like my expectations were really high. I think my expectations were exceeded, which I know sounds crazy, but it was great. It was amazing. It was the entrance experience, the whole experience, you know, from beginning to end was great. The whole elevator up there was really well done. I thought that it was just looking down as you go up the elevator, but there's also a screen above you too, so you can see where you're going. And I mean, like the floor vibrates as you're going up too, like when you go through certain, you know, spots. Like it's a whole Disney like ride up there. The view is really cool up there. The whole vibe is really cool. Like everything that they have in there is really neat. So like this, I took a picture of the silverware because the silverware was like weird and cool. And like, even just like the pitcher where they pour water for you was great. And so, I mean, and just the view, you know, there's constantly stuff popping up outside the windows, you know, like spaceships and astronauts and all sorts of fun stuff was coming up outside the view. And, you know, there was a lot of just neat stuff there. I mean, it was really great. We had a fantastic server. I mean, really, really one of the best servers we've ever had. And we really felt like it was like a really signature dining experience. And I'll tell you this. So we got our appetizers, and while we were still eating our appetizers, the entrees started coming out, and our server was like across the room and literally like comes running over and goes over to the people busting the food, and they're like, no, they are not ready yet for this. Take this back right now. Well, they're not ready. And he's like, I'm so sorry, guys. I know you're still eating your appetizers. We'll bring out your regular food when you're ready, when you're done. And it was just like, you know, like that kind of experience was he was just very good and very attentive. Gave us great recommendations. The drinks were excellent. The food was really great. You know, of course there was a DVC discount, which was very nice as well. But you know, we all kind of had, yeah. What's that?
I said, oh, good. Yeah, that kind of makes a difference.
Yeah, it's 15%. I mean, it's a decent DVC discount. It's 15%. So we, you know, that was good, obviously. And so I ended up paying for the whole group so we could, the whole bill could get the discount, and everybody just, you know, Venmo'd me money. But that was great. But man, I cannot recommend Space 220 enough. It's not just the gimmick of what you're doing up there. excellent service, excellent food. I mean, every dish that we had, I mean, we had 6 people at our table, and I think everybody got something different. Everybody said their food was fantastic. It was really, really great. I cannot complain at all about anything we experienced there. It was just really excellent. So if you can get a reservation at Space 220, do it. It was great. So then we did, the eating and the drinking around the world. We're not going to get into what happened there. It just didn't work out well. Listen, here was the problem. I'll tell you this. It was so busy that every line at every country was like a half hour to get food or drink, like by itself. You know what I mean? Like, so the lines were out of control. It was so busy. And I mean, I think at one point we waited in Japan for like 45 minutes for sake. Like, it was nuts. So it was hard to get stuff. Like, that was the biggest problem. I also, oh God, I went and I got crepes from the new crepe place in France. They had one guy working on the register. There's this huge line, gigantic line. They have one guy, I felt kind of bad for him, but not really, that didn't seem to know how to use the register and was going at the speed of, like, it was the scene from Zootopia in the DMV. Like, that's what there's one cashier guy moving slower than I thought any human being could possibly move. And I mean, they were pumping out dishes fast. Like, so it wasn't the kitchen's fault. It's just like, they had 3 windows and only had one guy at the register, and he just was like the slowest guy ever. So as far as, making people go through. So, and then you have people coming up where it's like they're using I almost like screamed at one point because I was like, this lady was like, she's using this card, and they were like, oh, it's a credit card, but they're asking for the PIN number. I don't know the PIN number. This is somebody else's card. And then they're calling somebody else. It took them like 10 minutes to check out. I almost just went over and be like, I'm going to pay for your crepes. I just need you to go. I just need you to move. You were backing up this whole line. But regardless, very long lines everywhere. I will say, there were a couple highlights. Really good stuff we had in Italy. Had some chicken ravioli there that was really good. I'm trying to think of all the other things we had. There was so much food. The best dish I had the entire time was one I grabbed on the way out, though, and that was the cowboy mac and cheese. And that was essentially it's burnt ends, pulled pork, and mac and cheese, and it was really, really good. It was so good. The meat was super smoky and tender, and it was delicious. I could have eaten like 5 more containers of it, but we were on our way out. Germany was probably a close second. They had like this, it's almost like a cheese noodle ham casserole thing with like crispy cheese edges on it. Oh, that was so good. Again, something I could have eaten a bunch of. I also got a drink there too that was very good. That was like a lemony kind of beer that was very good. And thank you. I asked on the group what it could be, and somebody took a picture of it for me because I didn't pay attention to what it was, and I wanted to drink it again. So, but thank you for that. So that was really my trip. I want to do overall though. So Genie Plus, I didn't get a whole lot of use out of Genie or Genie Plus. Just didn't. I mean, we just didn't get a lot of use out of it. We use it a lot to reserve things, and if I'm grading it on a curve of how busy the parks were, I think we did well with it, right? Because even though we only got 3 reservations each day that we did it, which we only did it our Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios days, we still skipped some of the longest lines for the day, right? But it's not like I got like 10 reservations. I only got like 3 each time. And the usefulness of the go to this ride next thing just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. And that, I think that'll get better over time. I think this is still very new, and I think we're still trying to understand how to use it. And truthfully, we didn't even understand until Hollywood Studios Day that you could keep refreshing, and find earlier times. Like, I don't think we realized that until that happened. I also wanted to mention, I mentioned this in the Discord, I did not notice, somehow I did not see a single 50th anniversary statue. I don't know how I didn't see one. I forgot to look for them.
I did see your comment on that, and I saw it, and I was playing a game at the time, and I read what you said, and I actually like stopped what I was doing, and I was like, how did you would have had to walk by them?
I probably walked by a ton of them.
Like, they're not hidden.
I know. Listen, the best part was I didn't even realize that I didn't see any until we got home. Like, once I got home, I was like, oh, wait a second. We didn't see any of those statues. Like, maybe it's just because it was so busy. And I mean, it was packed people, right? So, like, you're just trying to survive in those situations. You know, you're just trying to figure out how to not run into people. And so I just wasn't paying attention to that stuff. And you're right. They're not hidden. They're not hidden anywhere. Like, so I don't know. But I will also say I didn't get to see Harmonious or what do you call it? Why am I blanking on the other one? Enchantment. Didn't get to see either one of those. I wanted to, but nobody in my group wanted to, and we ended up leaving before closing on both times. Now I saw them from a distance, right? But I want to see them in the park with the projections and all that stuff. And from what I saw from Harmonious, it looked cool. Now, but I do really want to actually see it. But I didn't get to see either one of those. So that there was that. I mean, we were only there for 3 days, right? So there's only so much we could do. But so I missed both Harmonious and Enchantment, despite my best efforts. Didn't see any 50th anniversary statues. Genie Plus was kind of, it's fine. But like I said, I'm grading it on a curve almost because it's just how busy it was. Like, I think if we knew how to use the system better going in and like had a better idea of it, then maybe we would have done a little better. And plus we got there a little bit late too, right? So we didn't end up reserving our first lightning lanes until like, well after the park had opened. So that probably didn't help either. But other than that, we had a great time. I mean, I'm not going to say anything bad. We had a great time. I mean, and that day 4 at Epcot, we didn't go on any other rides besides Ratatouille. We just drank and ate all day. That was it. There was no rides, but because it was so busy.
So, do you think that, so like you said, yeah, with Genie Plus, when it gets too busy, do you think that it's just not?
I don't know.
Worth
just
it?
not worth it.
Yeah.
I still think it is when it's too busy because you just have to like measure you just have to like get your expectations in the right place, right? So like on a non-busy day, I could see how you could use Genie Plus and get a whole bunch of reservations, right? But with how long all the lines were, the fact that we even got to skip 3 of them was valuable, right? Like that was valuable in and of itself.
All right, that's fair. I guess. Yeah, like you said, I think the hard part is that it was definitely a timing thing, right? Like you said, it was, it's kind of a busy time of year, and even more so, the 50th plus people coming back that probably haven't gone in a long time.
Yep.
I get the feeling that once things calm down a little bit, I feel like it might make more sense for Genie Plus. But from what you're saying, like I would almost. I don't know. I feel like I would almost just say, nah, I'm not even going to do anything. Right.
Yeah. Well, and that's, we didn't, we waited in a lot of standby lines and really didn't wait that long for most things. Like, I don't mind waiting in like a half-hour standby line, right? Like that's not the end of the world to me. And we did that a lot. Most of the rides obviously that we did were standby. And so we did some popular rides and waited standby, and it really wasn't that bad. I mean, like I said, I think the longest we waited was for Jungle Cruise, but that was kind of our own fault, right? So like we decided to stick it out and wait for the ride to get fixed. They were like, we don't know how long it's going to take, and we just were enjoying the shelter and the break.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like the choice of walking back out into the rain was probably
exactly.
Yeah. No, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah. So that's kind of, we made a choice there. And then, I think the only other line that we waited on that was really long was Mickey Minnie's. But again, we knew what we were getting into with that one. We knew it was going to be a while, and we had a little bit of time to kill, right? So we had some time to kill, and we wanted to ride it. So we were like, all right, well, let's just wait on this line. And, so we just did that, and it was fine. Like, it wasn't too big of a deal. So, like I said, though, we had a great time. It's the Genie Plus math is interesting though. And I don't, obviously we didn't buy it when we went to Epcot, right? So we didn't get it for that. And I wouldn't have anyway, even if we had planned on riding rides all day, I probably wouldn't have bought it. So, but it's tough, Trevor, because I think we still got to figure out how this whole thing shakes out, and how all that works. But, I know my sister, the day after I left, they did a lightning lane for Flight of Passage. Like they paid, the individual amount to skip the line for that. And that's all they did that day. So like, that's another thing too. It's like that option to be able to do that. It'd just be like, oh, we're just going to go on that ride and then do nothing else. And, they went on Flight of Passage, then they went and ate at Tiffin's and that was it, So yeah, I'll be interested to see though. I don't know if it's, the thing about it is, right, if you look at it, it's the difference is that it's paid. Like if we were in the old FastPass system, this would be pretty similar situation, right? Where I would have had a hard time getting additional FastPasses outside of the 3 that I already booked.
But the big difference would have been, like you said, the standby lines.
Yes.
Were always bad.
We're way worse.
Yeah.
Way worse. Yeah. And that's the difference, right? Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like the standby lines were not terrible. And the ones that were really bad, we skipped with Genie Plus. So, yeah,
I'll be curious. Like I was interested how your trip was going to go and like how things are going to go into Christmas here. And then I'm going to be there in February.
Yeah. And
so I think we're not really going to get a good feel for this for at least a year, like until you can kind of get an idea of how like the crowds and everything are moving. Like that's the whole thing with Disney Plus is that, I know a lot of people were, bashing on it and whatnot. And even like in your case, you said, it doesn't always make sense, but I don't think, like you said, I don't think we quite understand where it does make sense. Right.
I agree. No, I agree. I totally agree. So that was my trip. Had a great time. Too bad the weather wasn't better. The temperature was great. But it rained. I mean, it rained quite a bit. So, it even rained on our EPCOT day too. So, just a little bit, just rained a little bit on the EPCOT day. It was, the weather wasn't great, but we had a great time. We had a lot of fun and, we did not successfully drink around the world. I'll tell everybody that. We ended up stopping at, where were we? China. We stopped at China. So we only had a couple countries left, but we weren't going to make it. I could have made it, but there were others in my party that were done. So we kind of just stopped. But we had a great time. It was a lot of fun. And we even did like the little lanyard thing, you can get the drink around the world lanyard thing. And we did that. And that was kind of a fun activity that we had a good time doing. So ate lots of food, stopped at a bunch of different booths and got food and, really enjoyed food and wine. I actually in Canada, Trevor, I stopped and got, what did I get in Canada? Oh my gosh. I think it just got a cider. Like, they have the whole Canada pavilion. Like, right now is, the Circle Vision movie theater is actually a food and wine like area.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a food and wine, it was like an apple. It was, what was it called? Appleseed orchard or something like that. So it was all apple stuff. Like they had apple pies there. They had apple ciders. They had all sorts of stuff. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when you tell me about the stuff from the Canada Pavilion, half of it doesn't even make sense to me because a lot of it comes from Eastern Canada.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Canada. Yeah.
So it's like it is actually very different from one coast to the other.
Yeah, that's true. So a lot of it is they're representing a different part of Canada than you're used to. So
yeah,
that's funny. All right, so that's my whole trip report. I think I got it all there. I enjoyed Saratoga. I enjoyed the cabin. It was a great trip. It was a mini trip, but we'll do a longer one next year, and be a lot more fun. So
yeah,
all right,
yeah, that's great. Now let's we'll
do the ad really quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're probably due for the ad, and then we can move on to some DVC news. So
we had a huge news dump of Destination D23 stuff from this weekend. So we'll talk about all that stuff.
Okay, so we'll start with DVC Resale Market. DVC Resale Market, a World of DVC company, is the leader in the DVC resale industry with 13 former Disney Vacation Club guides and 3 former Disney Vacation Club quality assurance managers. If you're thinking of buying DVC, browse the largest selection of DVC resale listings anywhere, with DVC experts on hand 7 days a week to answer your questions. If you're thinking of selling, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 98% of listings sell within 30 days. In 2020, DVC Resale Market helped over 3,600 families join or add on to their memberships. Go to dvcresalemarket.com or call 1-844-DVC-PROS, that's 382-7767. And when you do talk to them, please make sure you let them know that Welcome Home sent you.
All right. So
there's a drop down. I bet you there's a drop down.
It's a drop down. We know there is one at DVC rental store. I got to look at DVC resale market. I don't know if they put a drop down in or not. Can we look at that somehow? I gotta ask our contacts over there. Yeah.
I think I might have to get a quote, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess I gotta get a quote to sell some stuff. So, all right. Well, Damon is back now that I'm done with my trip report.
I was here. I was getting a lot accomplished, I'll tell you.
All right. Well, that's good. I'm glad. So, Trevor, this is a Disneyland thing. So I don't know if you want to talk about this Disneyland thing.
So, yeah, they revealed the studio villas for the new Disneyland Hotel Tower that they're building for DVC.
This project is pushing along now. I mean, it's definitely happening.
Yeah, so they're proposing that it's going to be open in 2023, which is actually coming up a lot faster than I realized. I was actually originally thinking 2024 or later for this new DVC tower, but I'm really liking the aesthetic on these rooms. Like it does definitely fit the Disneyland hotel. Like if for anyone that's ever been in there, like these do look like Disneyland hotel rooms, but I like that they chose the Sleeping Beauty aesthetic, which also kind of goes back to Disneyland has Sleeping Beauty Castle, and kind of, you know, it feels very nostalgic even for being something new. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm not attached to this really because I'm not a Disneyland person, but I mean, I'm still, as a DVC member, interested, and this is really I like the designs too, and it's to your point. I mean, it's a little more I don't know. It's interesting. Somebody brought this up. Jeremy brought this up in the group about how we're always talking about understated Disney accents in some of the DVC rooms. Yep. You know, because it seems like some people really love the over-the-top theming, and then some people hate that, right? So, because some people equate the over-the-top theming to, like, value resort, right?
Yeah.
When they're staying at DVC, they don't necessarily want that. But, you know, I like the theming stuff, and I like what they're doing in here, too. Although, I have to say, and maybe this is just me, but when I first saw the outside of the pull-down bed, I thought that the one thing was an outline of Baymax. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can see how you would think that.
Yeah, and I was like, why are they putting Baymax on this? It's such a random inclusion. It's like, oh wait, that's just a cutout of the band. Okay.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting that the description on here says castle banners before fairies appear. What does that mean?
Before? I don't know.
Before fairies, what does that mean?
I wonder if
the banners change in the movie when the fairies show up. Like, is that what they're referring to?
No, I think it's one of the opening scenes in the movie.
Yeah,
or like right at the beginning, it kind of moves through the banners. Yeah, so like it shows all the banners going into the main hallway, and I can't remember the term for it. I think it's supposed to be representative of like that first scene in the movie.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Which, you know, they're definitely using all that, like all the reference pictures are for sure just scenes from the movie kind of put together, which, yeah, you know, I would definitely stay in one of these. Like again, you know, to the point of, you know, is it too much stuff? No, actually, I think it's appropriate. It lets you know that you're staying at a Disney hotel. Like but it's not hitting you over the head, so to speak.
Yeah. And this resort, by the way, 350 villas. They're going to have 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedroom studios. They're also going to have the tower studios like Riviera has too, the 2-person little rooms. So
yeah.
So listen, this thing's going to sell super fast regardless of how they theme it. So
I'm still hoping that we can get some points here, because like for me, you know, kind of going back to what Damon was talking about earlier with, you know, DVC evolving for him, is for us, I can actually see it becoming us splitting our time between East Coast and West Coast, because we are closer to the West Coast. And the main reason that we didn't buy there in the first place was that the Grand Californian points are really expensive and really hard to get. So we figured out the math and saw that the Polynesian made sense for us at the time. But if I could have, even a 50 or 75 point contract here and go every other year, I could see that working. Like, because
350 units is not bad. I mean, especially compared to what they have now.
Exactly. It makes it way more available. And the other interesting thing is that in Disneyland, because there's only the 2 parks there, if you're just going for Disney, you don't need as many days as you do in Disney World. So, even a 50 point contract, if I could get 2 or 3 days in Disneyland, that might become doable.
Yeah, I've always heard that Disneyland is like a good 3-day. Like you could do Disneyland and California Adventure like 3 days. I
honestly do. We usually do 4.5 days, but the last couple of days just kind of result in us just like we redo the rides and then it's just hanging around. Which you can definitely get everything done in 3 days, but I like to stretch it out.
I gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well, that's good news. So I don't know if you guys, I watched Destination D23 yesterday. I watched Josh Giammaro's section, just to, catch park stuff. And, it was a lot of stuff about Galactic Starcruiser, obviously. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which, makes sense because it's the thing they want to promote the most right now. But they showed some more stuff inside the ship. And they showed the lightsaber training, which looked really cool. And he also did, he brought the realistic lightsaber on stage too, which was cool. Although I did just read an article that Disney clarified that will not be available for purchase for anybody. I do wonder if it's too, yeah, well, I wonder a couple things though. Like it's probably not something they feel like they can mass produce yet. It's like a prototype basically at this point still, I'm sure. But also I do wonder if it's just not that like stable. Meaning, like, the first thing anybody does with lightsabers is have a lightsaber fight with it, right? Like, maybe this is just the way that they're making this happen is not conducive to that,
Yeah.
Yeah, that it would break immediately.
Yeah, looking at the way the lightsaber training is, like, you're not hitting anything with them.
No.
So, guaranteed.
Well, that's not even the real lightsaber, though. They're not even using the one that goes up like that. They're just using, like, a regular one that's already, in existence, and then you turn on the light, right?
Yeah. So, but I think to that end, even if they use the fancy one they came up on stage with, like you said, I can't imagine them wanting to sell these things. And, people wouldn't even get out of the store without breaking them if, there seems to be too many moving parts to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I also do think too, it's like, maybe it's really they haven't figured out how to make it affordable enough. Now, given somebody would probably, people spend thousands of dollars on realistic lightsabers, so they could probably, if it costs a lot of money for them to build that realistic lightsaber, they probably could charge a lot and people would still buy it, right?
Yeah, so, the money is actually not the issue here. I think you're kind of hitting on something with the stability of it. Yeah. This is probably not something that. Those expensive lightsabers, they are designed to take a beating. Like
exactly.
Even the expensive ones I've seen, like, people, they understand that you're going to swing this thing around and you're probably going to hit something with it. I get the feeling that these prototypes or whatever this new technology is that they use during the lightsaber or that they're going to use for the lightsaber training, it's probably not meant to be used outside of that room.
Yeah, exactly. They can make it look really cool, but it's not functional in any way.
Yeah,
like other than it looking really cool. Like, and I guarantee if whoever the actors are that are going to use this within the Starcruiser, they probably will do a cool thing where they, show you it coming out like it does, and then at some point slyly switch it out with something else, right? They probably are not going to use it extensively, I would think, but who knows? But they did clarify that you're not going to be able to buy them too much to the disappointment of the internet. So, but listen, I thought the lightsaber training looked kind of cool, and I dug the other stuff they were doing too, where they were showing when you're on the bridge and they were shooting down TIE fighters, and it was some cool stuff that they were showing there. Obviously, they don't want to show everything yet, but I've also read a couple articles of people that have taken a tour. Because they granted some media outlets some early access. So, yeah, some interesting stuff. It looked fun, though. It looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah. same kind of thing as Damon is, I've been kind of half looking at this stuff, and I'm going to become more interested when we actually book a trip, which we were originally talking about a year from now, so like next November. But I'm not sure if that's even going to be the right time. Like that may even be too early for us. So I think once we see this actually open in March and we see how the first couple of cruises go, I'll be more interested then to kind of see how it actually plays out. Like, cause these demo things that they're doing are nice, but my problem with it is, like Josh doing the lightsaber training and everything, it seemed very, it didn't seem real.
You mean like they like edited it, like that they added special effects in? Like,
no, I feel like he was told like, do this thing, like just do this and don't like in people do different things when they're actually there. And I feel like he was kind of holding back to, like show it, but not really like,
Don't give up the whole thing. Yeah. Just like a little sneak peek, kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like it won't, we'll have to see how it actually plays out when people get on the Starcruiser proper.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I agree.
Yeah.
So they also announced too that Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is going to open summer of 2022. So now we have like a season, of course, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they'd said before that it was going to open in 2022. Now they're saying summer. They also revealed some new pictures of the queue, which, not a lot of that they're showing here, but they did have a whole message from Nova Prime, who's played by Glenn Close. Yeah. So that was cool. But the queue looks cool from what I can see, and I like the poster. The poster for this is neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It has that 80s kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, which is the vibe that Epcot is going for. These,
totally.
That the 80s future vibe, right? So.
Yeah, it seems very like neon, like that purple neon, right?
Yeah. The only thing I was disappointed in, I watched, because I was watching this live, and then Glenn Close did her thing. I was like, I thought she was going to do it like in character, but she's like, "Hey, it's me, Glenn Close. I'm doing this thing for the ride," and it's like, oh man, I wanted her to be Nova Prime, not Glenn Close in that moment.
Well,
it was fine.
I'm sure it'll be fine because you'll get to see her in the ride. So, you'll get Nova Prime proper.
Yeah. My wife's already needling me a little bit. Like, you're going to go on this with me, right? You're going to go on this with me. And I'm like, all right, we'll see.
Sadly, my wife is like, because it turns, she's like, I'm not going anywhere near that. So that'll be me and my son.
I gotcha. Yeah, I get you. All right. Do we want to do our second ad here, and then we can get into more D23 stuff? Destination D23, I should mention.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, let's talk about Monera. And as we mentioned, Monera is coming on the next show. So if you're looking for financing for your DVC resale purchase, we talked about DVC resale market before. If you're going to buy a resale contract, you might need to finance it. But if you're going to look for financing options for that, look no further than Monera Financial. Monera, a World of DVC company, is the industry leader for financing DVC resale contracts. Monera offers lending with no credit checks, often very low down payments, terms as long as 10 years, and no prepayment penalties. If you're thinking of purchasing a DVC contract, go and check out their quick online quote first. You might be surprised at just how affordable joining DVC can be. Go to monerafinancial.com or call 317-245-8800, and when you speak to them, be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you. Oh man, so many announcements from Destination D23. My gosh.
So let's, I guess, are we moving to the new and returning live entertainment?
Yeah. So for Disney World, and then we have a Disneyland section in here too. Yeah. So Finding Nemo the musical is coming back, but it's going to be called The Big Blue and Beyond. My wife and I always enjoyed Finding Nemo the musical, and we're sad that they closed it, but I think it's cool that they're revamping it and keeping in a lot of the songs and redoing it to the timeline of Finding Dory instead of the original movie. So giving it something fresh, because that show had been there for a long time. So
that's cool. Never cared for it in the first place, so
Not your thing. Okay, well, you care more about this, about Fantasmic coming back, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I am stoked that, I mean, you knew Fantasmic was going to come back. You knew that they would never stop something like that unless they were replacing with something just as big. But yeah, it's nice that they only said it's coming back in 2022. So I think they're still trying to figure out exact timing on it, but
sure.
They are committing to it will be back next year, which is great.
Yeah, and not only that, they're going to add new sequences. So, so they're going to add new, and they're saying it's with live performers, stunts, and special effects. And I believe I read that it was involving Moana and Aladdin. I want to say I saw. I don't have it in here, but
I bet they're replacing the whole Peter Pan sequence.
I was thinking they were replacing the whole Pocahontas sequence, which is like a big part of the middle of the show, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just adding. Maybe they're not subtracting, they're just adding. I don't know. But it's funny. I was talking to my wife about this because I see a lot of people are like, oh, well, they made all these entertainment cuts because of budgets. And, some of that is true. But something like Fantasmic, and we talked about this, it's not something you can just restart all, in a week. Right? Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the people that are in this are stunt people, there's a lot of people that run the show, like on the technical director side and like all that. These are not people you can just find off the street, right? Like these are specialized talents, right? And it takes a long time to, once you've, laid those people off, some of those people have moved on to new jobs and new companies and you're not going to get them back. And then if you find new people, you got to, get them trained and, get them knowing what they're doing. And then I'm sure they rehearse these things for months before they ever hit the stage, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not, I understand like people are like, oh, I want it back now. And I'm one of those people too, but I also am like, if they're going to do it, that's why they announced Indiana Jones was coming back like a month ago, because they're going to rehearse every day for months to make sure that it's well done. And plus that's a dangerous show. These are things that involve stunts and people can get hurt, and they need to rehearse these things and make sure that they're in the place they need to be. So, stuff can't happen overnight. Now, if I had to bet, I'm going to say that Fantasmic comes back in the first half of 2022, but I don't really know.
I'm betting no sooner than May.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. That's just the feeling I get from it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Then Mickey's Magical Friendship Faire, which this replaces, what was it called?
It was called that, wasn't it?
No, I thought it had a different, it was the Royal Friendship Faire or something like that.
It was a similar title. Yeah.
Yeah. But so this is the stage show that they had at, Magic Kingdom, where, in the middle of the day when you see random fireworks go off and you didn't know why, that was the show. Yeah.
Yeah. If you got scared to death while you were waiting online for Little Mermaid by random fireworks, it was because of this show. Yeah, because it was like 8 times a day. I feel like they did the show.
Yeah, something like that. I don't even know if it was that much. I just remember it, at various points you'd be in like Fantasyland and all of a sudden, fireworks would go off and you're like, whoa, what the heck, right?
Whoa, yeah, random daytime fireworks. Whoa, yeah. But they're adding new sequences to it, so. Yeah,
so this show, or this version of the show, is going to have sequences from Frozen, Tangled, Princess and the Frog. Mickey's going to have the iridescent thing going on because, of course, everything they're doing now has to be iridescent.
Yep, that's the thing, right?
And
so, my daughter loves the show. I think we watched it twice when we took her last.
I think we've stopped and watched it. Yeah, we watched it once, or the old one we watched once, and once we saw it, we were kind of good. And we've never, even like walking through the hub, if it was going on, like we were just like, okay. That's cool. Like I get it.
I feel like it's a show for younger kids. I do think it's a show for younger kids.
Yeah, that's the thing. I get it. But yeah, at my son's age, he's more interested in getting to the next ride or getting to where we're going. So I haven't really spent a lot of time watching these shows. But so this next one though, just keeping it in Magic Kingdom. So they have a new cavalcade coming as well in the new year. This is the Adventure Friends Cavalcade, which I'm kind of excited for this one because The characters, it's going to be like Nick and Judy from Zootopia, Baloo and King Louie from Jungle Book, Jose and Panchito from Three Caballeros,
Miguel.
Yeah, Miguel.
Oh, yeah.
Merida, Moana. Like it's a
lot of characters that are not in other things, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're doing this because, you know, as much as I like the traditional, like, oh, here's Mickey and Minnie and, you know, Winnie the Pooh, like all the usual, or I shouldn't say the usual. I mean, the characters that I've seen them to death, and I'm glad I'm glad that they're doing, like, you know, Zootopia is newer. Three Caballeros doesn't get as, or, you know, it's been getting more popular again lately, but for a long time it didn't really have a lot of presence in the parks and stuff like that. So
because they have like a newer show, I think.
Yeah,
that has them in it. Yeah, there's like a newish show.
Yeah, they did a new animated show for them, which it didn't really take off, but again, they're trying. Like that's the thing that I like, is that, you know, they are trying to bring back some of these characters that, you know, people sometimes forget about, or you know, they kind of fall out of popularity. Same thing with the Jungle Book. Like that hasn't really been a thing for a while, but it's nice that, you know, I always, you know, Baloo and King Louie, for me, Baloo, like, you know, Tailspin was what I remember him from. So yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think this is great. I have to tell you, the cavalcades are like one of my favorite things that they're doing now, because it's just like, it's random, right? So like, you're just walking around the park and it's all of a sudden, I was like, oh, there's like 10 characters, like, and it's quick, you know. It's not like anything where it's like you have to wait a half hour or an hour ahead of time just to get a good spot. It's like it's random. It's like random character interactions, and it's kind of cool, even though you're not interacting with the characters really. But it's just kind of randomly happening. I mean, when we were at Hollywood Studios, they did a cavalcade of we saw it like 3 or 4 times because we just happened to keep running into it, where they had like Incredibles characters and oh gosh, they like Toy Story characters and stuff like that. And then they also did a holiday one that had, you know, Santa, and they had reindeer and all that stuff, and that was a real quick one too. It's like a couple minutes, you know, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah,
I like them, and I know people have just said that that's like one of their favorite things that they've instituted recently. So
yeah, and I think it's, you know, because the parades can feel very forced in that,
sure,
you know they're coming, and there's always people lined up, and you know, for a while there was the whole thing about the blanket brigade, where, you know, everyone was putting down reserving their spot, so to speak, along the parade routes and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it stops a lot of that from happening, which I agree with as well. I think it's nice that it's not a planned thing, and it's, you know, just running into it is way better.
Now, that being said, Festival of Fantasy also coming back in early 2022.
Yeah. So you can get your blanket out. No, don't do that.
I mean, I do find it interesting that they're going to do both. That they're going to do the regular, everyday big parade, the 3 o'clock parade, or whatever time it's at, and they're going to have that every day. And then they're also going to, you know, do the cavalcades too. Like, that's a lot of stuff going on, you know.
I mean, the two are not. I mean, they are exclusive from one another if you think about it, because you know, the Festival of Fantasy Parade, it's a planned thing. You know, that's fine. It's, you know, maybe once or twice a day at most. But like you said, the thing about the cavalcades is that they're smaller. They don't have to necessarily run like the full route that the parade does. And I feel like I feel like the cavalcades are almost more of a replacement for, like I know that they did them originally to replace the parades because there wasn't parades, but this actually goes back to, and again, you probably never saw this because it was more at Disneyland than Disney World, was just the roaming characers. I feel like the cavalcades are kind of fitting more into that niche, and
I agree.
That was something that was missing from Disney World for a long time. That like I said, in Disneyland, you would walk around, you'd see like the Red Queen, you would see Maleficent, the Evil Queen, so you would always run into these characters, and like they had their meet and greet spots, but but just having them wandering, and even Mad Hatter was another one too. Like Alice and Mad Hatter would wander around near the Alice in Wonderland ride, and it just gives a very different vibe than the prescribed, like, oh well the parade's at this time, or I'm expecting that I'm going to see this, right? Like I think that's kind of what the cavalcades are hitting on, is that. Yeah. Like you said, it's not expected, and unless you're going to like stand there and wait for them, which who's going to do that?
Exactly.
Yeah, like I feel like the two are not like the cavalcades do seem a little bit more organized, but I don't think that they're really stepping on the toes of the of running the parade necessarily.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because of Disney Plus Day, when we were at Hollywood Studios, they had all sorts of like random characters out and about, and we kept seeing them posted by like bloggers, but we just never saw them. Like they had like Carl and Doug walking around from Up, and like we never saw them. We just they were all over the place though, and we just missed that. And they were definitely recording something in the morning when we got to Hollywood Studios, because we saw like cameras everywhere, and we saw groups of people like screaming and stuff like that. And so there was something being filmed while we were there. But yeah, so like these random character interactions, there's a lot more of it right now. Like, but they're not coming up to you. They're just kind of like distance character interactions, right? But I mean, it's there. You're right. And I the only one I can think of that they had at Disney World for a while was at Country Bear. They would have the Country Bears kind of wandering around and talking to people. But that's really the only one. And I guess Stormtroopers too. It was something that was happening prior to the pandemic too at Galaxy's Edge. But yeah, I agree with you. I think this is kind of their way of bringing that back, but in a different way. So we also saw the rainy day cavalcade too when we were at Magic Kingdom, because it was raining. So
fun. Which
is always a fun thing when you get to see the rainy day cavalcade. So
yeah, that's actually, that's kind of rare, I guess.
It is.
Yeah, depending on the time of year. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It can be, but that was fun. I mean, we saw a lot of them, and I mean, at one point they had the Dapper Dans were just going down the road on like one of those buses. They were just driving down Main Street on the bus, like it was a lot of random stuff like that, which was great. Like it was just very cool and different, than what we're used to. So now we got some Disneyland stuff from Destination D23 too.
Yeah, so MagicBands.
Okay.
I realized.
Let's talk about this.
I was reading this whole thing initially, and I was like, okay, why are they talking about MagicBands? And then I realized it was Disneyland MagicBands.
Yeah, but I think they were very careful with their words here. Mm-hmm. I think the you notice it's only MagicBand Plus, right? Yeah. So you're not going to be. So what I'm thinking this is going to be, this is like the next version of, what was it, Glow with the Show? Remember Glow with the Show?
Ears? The ears, yeah.
Yeah. That's what MagicBand Plus kind of seems to be, and it feels like it's not going to have the kind of functionality at Disneyland that it does at Disney World, because they even say that, right? They're saying some of the features of MagicBand Plus will vary between Disneyland Resort and Walt Disney World. So what does that mean? Like, are you going to be able to use your Magic Band to like get into the park at Disneyland, or is it just going to be simply like the Glow with the Show stuff? Like, I don't know. I'm curious.
I can't imagine. Like, I know what you're saying, that they say some of the features will be different, and I get that, because there's certain things in Disney World that have been built out a lot more.
Yeah, it's infrastructure.
Like the fast pass system and stuff. Yeah.
The touch points and all that stuff. Yeah.
Right. But, I hope, like, if you give me a Magic Band and I go to Disneyland and let's say, okay, I can get into the park with it. Like, you better be able to get into the park with it. That's the first thing.
Yeah. Agreed.
But then if, like I always use it obviously for fast passes, but then using it for paying for stuff was also a pretty big, like, for me, that was a great convenience, because I would just bill everything to my room and then I would pay it all off at once. So if they're not going to offer anything like that, then the whole idea of Magic Bands in Disneyland becomes like, what's the point?
Well, I think it would be easy enough for them to offer the ability to pay for stuff through it, right? Because probably all of their like credit card terminals already have like NFC built into them, right?
Yeah, I was going to say it's all the same system that you use for the chip scanning on a credit card anyway, right? Like
yeah. Which, by the way, I think I completely skipped over the whole that Magic Mobile now you can charge food and merchandise to your phone. I think we skipped that over completely, but
did we? Oh.
Yeah, did we? We didn't talk about it, right?
No, you're right, we didn't.
Yeah, so, Magic Mobile is, the thing that you can do to get into the parks. Like, it's all the stuff that you can do on your phone. But before, you couldn't charge food and merchandise. Now you can, right? So, and again, like we just said, it's not all that different, right? It's the same technology. So I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do the pay from your band. But at the same time, they don't have the infrastructure built up. Like, Disney World had to install all of those touch points it was thousands probably of touch points that they had to put in. Like, I don't think Disneyland's going to do that. Well, I would think, yeah, go ahead.
Disneyland is not nearly like it's not as much ground to cover as Disney World. So yeah, it still is an expensive endeavor to do that, but they don't have to do it in as many places. The other thing too is that, I do see the point about in Disney World, you've got a lot more on-site hotels. So there's a lot more people that are billing back to their room. In Disneyland, you've effectively got 3 hotels that could do that.
Exactly.
So
unless you're just going to hook it straight up to a credit card, which actually wouldn't even make sense because you could just do it on your phone anyway, right? So like you could just do like, even if you just hooked it up separately to a credit card, it's not going to matter anyway because you could just do, Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever on your phone and accomplish the exact same thing. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens. I could see them making it so you can get into your room at the resort hotels. I could see, because I don't know, how do you get into your room now? Is it through like a card or is it just like
it's the same card scan thing. Last time I was there, you got your room card and you just scan the door. So that
should be easy enough. Again, it's same technology, right? So they probably can do that. They can probably do I'm just thinking, maybe they just do handheld scanners like they have throughout the parks. I don't know. One of the things I noticed, by the way, when I was at Disney World this last time, I had 3 different places I went to go pay with my Magic Band where they asked me to take it off and hand it to them. Which was weird. Yeah. Because usually they do the thing where they do the phone and if they're mobile, they do the phone, they scan it, and you type your PIN in, and that's it. This time, I had a bunch of different people telling me to take it off, and they took it away and brought it back. It's weird.
Yeah, you'd think that they wouldn't want to be doing that.
Yeah, you would think that would be the opposite of what they want to do, but
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll be interested to see what's going to be available with this at Disneyland. But I think it's a good thing. I know people have been asking for it for a long time, but again, it just goes contrary to all the people that are like, "Oh, Magic Bands are dead. They're getting rid of Magic Bands." Well, no, they're expanding it. They're doing more.
This should quell any assumptions that Magic Bands are going away forever.
Yeah. Well, and also, listen, I'm not against the whole idea of the glow with the show thing coming back. I from what I've heard, if you have those ears, they still work with the shows. They still will change colors with the shows.
I'm sure, but those ears are uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was like wearing a construction helmet. Yeah, I know. It was.
I do have a pair of them still, but we wore them once and then never again.
Yeah, I thought I always liked that technology. I thought it was cool, and it was especially cool when you were with a large group of people that were all wearing them. Mm-hmm. It was a very neat look to see that. That's what it was called, right? Glow with the show. Am I making
Glow with
that
the
up?
Show.
Yeah, it was, right?
They actually even in Disneyland, it went a little bit further than just the shows where so in Paint the Night there was the fairies like Tinkerbell and the other fairies from Peter Pan or from the Tinkerbell shows, and if you were wearing the glow ears, they actually had wands, and when they would point at you, it would actually change the colors on the ears as well.
Yeah, I actually remember we were at Fantasmic and my wife was wearing the ears and a kid kept coming up to her and with his magic wand and changing them.
Yeah.
He just was literally harassing her with this wand where he kept changing it.
Yeah, but they actually use those in the floats or in the parades too. So.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool. All right. The other thing they announced here too is that we talked about this before, the Hey Disney voice assistant that is going to be part of all the hotel rooms at Disney World is also going to be at Disneyland. So that's kind of nice that Disneyland's getting that too.
Yeah, I feel like they're it makes sense for them to not reinvent the wheel on both coasts.
Yeah.
Like I know we've like, it's 2021 and we're talking about, it's, thankfully Disney's finally figured it out. Right.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be that different between what you get in Florida and what you get in Disneyland. And yeah, I don't know what it took for them to figure this out finally, but yeah, I'm glad that stuff like the Alexa in every room, it helps. It helps if it is standardized because if you're used to going to Florida and then you go to California, I know for us, like we started in California and I'd been to Florida previously, so I kind of knew how different it was, but it was a big struggle to kind of wrap my head around like, how you're used to doing things in Disneyland is like totally different in Disney World. So yeah, these all kind of go with, they are lining up both the parks. So at least infrastructure wise, they both make sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So I think the last big thing, and I have this as a separate topic, is the Mickey's Toontown news. And this is probably not something I'm going to comment on because I don't know that area, but you do, right? So they're reimagining all of Mickey's Toontown in Disneyland.
I guess did you never go to Toontown when it was in Disney World?
Yes, but I didn't realize it was exactly the same. So,
all right.
Was it different?
Well, yeah, it was because I guess Disneyland has the Roger Rabbit cartoon spin and stuff. So,
which they didn't mention anything in this about Roger Rabbit, whether that's sticking around, but I think they would have said that it was closing if it was.
Right. And because they are also putting in Mickey's Runaway Railway as well, which is going right next to Roger Rabbit. So yeah, if they were planning to close down Roger Rabbit, I don't understand why they wouldn't. Yeah. Yeah. Like they would have already done it, but this is good because honestly, Toontown was, we took my son there. I actually, coincidentally, I was looking back through pictures when he was like 4, when the first time we took him there. And, we got a lot of great pictures there and we had a lot of fun, but the area, like there's a whole area near, or what's now going to be the, Mickey's Runaway Railway. That was like, it was an area called the Gag Factory, I think. And so there was a bunch of interactive stuff in there and we spent some time there, but then the rest of Toontown, it was like, so there was Goofy has a house, Donald has a house, and then Mickey and Minnie have houses. Mickey and Minnie's houses are character meets. So like you actually walk into the house and it's basically the queue up to the character meet. You end up at the back of the house and you meet Mickey or Minnie. So, we did the thing meeting Mickey. But then the thing is that those two character meets were there, but then the Goofy and Donald areas were like, they were stripped down so that there was nothing to do there for a long time. And when you really looked at it, it was like, so you had like a little area over near Roger Rabbit where kids could interact. There was 2 character meets. There was the Roger Rabbit ride, which honestly for a lot of kids was not like, it's kind of a freaky ride the same way that Mr. Toad is. For anyone that's ridden Mr. Toad, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't tuned well, like for being Toontown and attracting like, hey, young kids, it's a cartoon land and all that. There hasn't been a lot to do there for a long time. And, I remember this is going back to the 90s is that, so like what I'm talking about with some of the other houses being stripped down is like Goofy's house. It was actually, it was a bounce house. So
that's kind of awesome.
Yeah. The inside of it was all rubber and everything. But I distinctly remember though, like this was, I was like, 13, I think we went there and I was there. My brother was, he was about 6 or 7 at the time. So, we were in and out of these areas. And I remember going to the bounce house and I, looking around at this and there's all these kids jumping around in there and everything was made of, or, it was meant to be like the same material that they use in a bounce house. But then there was this fireplace over in the corner and the fireplace was actually made of plastic. And I remember watching, all these kids were jumping around. This one kid, he jumps and he goes to like come down on his butt on the fireplace. And I just saw him like thud onto the onto the fireplace. And he didn't cry, but he definitely had a look of shock on his face, and you could tell that it hurt. And I knew, like, when I look back on that, I'm like, yeah, I see why they pulled that kind of stuff out, because, you know, it really wasn't well thought through. And like the whole area has kind of been suffering from that, is that like they built it a long time ago, but they didn't really think about how it would, like, what it was actually supposed to do, which was to be like a young kids land and a place where, you know, like where young families can go and do stuff, not just walk around and look at things, because, you know, honestly, young kids, they don't do that. You need to have interactive things. You need to have interesting things there. And so, yeah, I'm looking at the design and everything, you know, it looks like it'll be a good redesign. And I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, somewhere along the way, something like Roger Rabbit does get pulled out, because it may hit a point where it just doesn't make sense with the rest of Toontown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, what they're doing here is they're doing a lot of green space. They're going to have like active play stuff, like interactive things.
Yeah.
They're saying children will be able to play, slide, spin, splash, touch, and listen. They're going to have natural space, some water tables, like a tree that you can sit at. They're calling a dreaming tree. Like there's all sorts of cool. Oh, I love the idea of the open space, right? Like I like that as a parent of a toddler. It's a great thing to have some open space and some interactive activities like that to really, you know, break up the day and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And where that area is actually that looks about where Donald's house, or his boat, I guess it was yeah, he had a boat, and Goofy's house were. So
okay.
Yeah, those are going to be pulled out. Yeah, honestly, that whole area has been dead space for years. So
yeah, so that's good.
Yeah.
By the way, so that's all of our Destination D23 things. But I was going to put a rumor in here about Paint the Night supposedly coming to Disney World, possibly being at Hollywood Studios and not Magic Kingdom. I didn't put it in there mostly because it's a unfounded rumor, and I also kind of think that they would have announced that at D23. But I don't know. Maybe they're saving it. Who knows? Maybe it's not final yet. But
yeah, you know, and it may not be something that's coming back right away either. They did put some focus on the electrical parade coming back in Disneyland as well.
Oh, that's right. I think I might have forgotten to put that on here. It was rumored a couple weeks ago, but yeah, now they confirmed it that it is the electrical light parade is Main Street electrical parade is coming back. So
yeah,
I
wouldn't be surprised if they're going to focus on that first and kind of get the electrical parade going, and then I know D23 is a place where they kind of dump a lot of stuff, but all year long they've been announcing things. So
exactly.
And
this was only Destination D23. This is not the D23 Expo where they announce like a lot of like major stuff. This is kind of a smaller event, I feel like. So
yeah,
they might announce this at another time, but it has been rumored forever that they were going to bring Paint the Night to Disney World. So, which would be great if they did. I think everybody misses a nighttime parade there. So
yeah,
it'd be kind of cool if they put it in Hollywood Studios instead of Magic Kingdom too.
It would make sense because they did the same thing. They moved it in Disneyland from, it was originally in Disneyland and they moved it over to California Adventure, which is the equivalent of Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see them doing that. And honestly, I do miss Paint the Night. It's probably my favorite parade, like day or night parade that I've ever seen. So
it's really good. Yeah. I mean, it's really, I've watched YouTube videos of it. I've not seen it in person. But,
it's very different in person.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. Should we wrap this up, or do we want to talk really quickly about this holiday food and pick out a couple things? Just so Damon can talk for more than a minute on the show.
Nah. He already said he's not interested. The only thing that stood out to me, that this the turkey poutine looks pretty nasty.
Oh, see, I thought it looked delicious. I was opposite on this. I thought it looked really good, minus the cranberry on top.
To me, it looks like leftovers.
I know, that's why it's great. You don't like leftovers? That's why it's great. I'm liking the Spaceship Earth cookie over here that they got going on, the sandwich cookie. And like a little red velvet cake over there. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, okay. I can see that.
Also, though, they got a Canada kitchen here, and they got a Snickers doodle cookie with Snicker bar pieces. That looks good.
I don't get why is Snickers not a thing?
No, it is. We love Snickers here in the States.
Okay. I don't understand why that's a Canadian specific thing, but
I don't know. Maybe they just threw it there. The rest of the stuff looks like it's, there's a maple flavored thing, a maple mousse. That sounds pretty good.
We don't all eat maple syrup all the time, just so that's clear.
I mean, to be fair, you did send me maple cookies one time. So.
Yeah, because they're good, but
yeah, they were good. Not a thing we have, though. I mean, we don't have maple cookies floating around.
Right.
Although, actually, I did find them at my local grocery store, so I take that back.
You also don't have Coffee Crisp down there, I don't think, either.
I don't even know what is that? What is that?
You don't have Coffee Crisp?
What is that? I've never even heard of that.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I'll send you some Coffee Crisp. For our listeners, hopefully some of you know what a Coffee Crisp is. It's a chocolate bar, but I guess it's very Canadian then, if that's
it is. Yeah, I just Googled it. It's a chocolate bar made in Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
but
it's
see, I don't
delicious.
like coffee though. Am I not going to like this though if I don't like coffee?
No, I don't drink coffee hardly at all either, but it's good. Like it's, yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. If you want to send me some Coffee Crisp, I'm not going to say no.
Okay.
There's a L'Chaim kitchen, which is for a Jewish kind of themed kitchen, which I know my wife would like. There's a Hanukkah beer even. That's cool. Potato latkes and some smoked salmon latkes. There's some good. They've had that in the past though. That's not a new thing. They've had that one. Speaking of that, it's right by Morocco. I spent some extended time in Morocco this past trip, like just in like the back area where there's nobody, and it's so peaceful and nice back there. I feel like, well, I don't want more people to go back there because it's like a nice little quiet area. But
the same way that apparently I have my own private bathroom by the Imagination Pavilion. Yeah, don't be telling people about this, Dan.
I know.
Tom, it'll ruin it, and then there'll just be crowds of people back there waiting for you to show up.
That's true.
Yeah,
I'm just scrolling through here, see if there's anything else I want to point out.
So sorry, I'm going the other way, and I'm pointing out the things that I don't want.
What are you doing?
Well, I don't know. It's just there's a couple of things in here that are just sticking out to me as like, oh, why would they do that? So in the France Pavilion, there's the Napoleon salmon fume de brioche, I guess, which is
okay.
It's a Napoleon. Smoked salmon Napoleon with layers of salmon, dill mousse, and creme fraiche on a brioche.
Yeah, that sounds terrific. I'm with you on this.
And if you look at it, like at first I was like, oh, is that like an ice cream bar? No, that's...
Yeah, I thought it was ice cream too.
Yeah.
No, it looks gross.
Not what I was expecting. I mean,
I'm sure some people would be into it though.
Yeah,
I
I like salmon, but that looks like a pressed brick of salmon.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I'm with you on that one. All right, yeah. You got me. You won me over on that one. All right, well let's just wrap up then. I don't see anything else on here that I want to talk about. Let's wrap up.
Okay. All right. As usual, if you guys want to reach us, you can always find us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We love getting your questions and hearing trip reports from you guys. Also, you can find us on Facebook, same thing, Welcome Home Podcast, or you can also look for the Facebook group, which is Welcome Home Disney Waitlist. We also are in there. We've gotten some great topics from people. It's a good community. It's a good place to talk about Disney and not have all the drama that seems to attract in other Disney groups. So, we're the cool Disney group. So if you guys want to come hang out, make sure you do. It's probably one of the few reasons to stay on Facebook at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, come check out our Facebook group. And also if you guys want to, follow our YouTube channel or Instagram. YouTube is Welcome Home Podcast. Instagram is Welcome Home Pics. Anytime we go to the parks, you guys will be able to catch videos and Instagram stuff through those channels. Also, when we do live streams, those do get posted on YouTube. So if you do happen to miss a live stream, you can always go back and rewatch it on YouTube. So make sure you guys subscribe there. And if you're interested in picking up some merchandise, go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and see what kind of Welcome Home Podcast merch we got. There's mugs, there's water bottles, t-shirts, all kinds of cool stuff like that. And if you're looking for something a little different, maybe check out Patreon. If you go on patreon.com/welcomehomepod, we have a couple of different tiers for Patreon, and there is some exclusive merchandise tied to those as well. So it's a Patreon exclusive logo, and it'll also get you access to the Discord server, which Tom's talked about a couple of times. That's a place specifically for our Patreon subscribers that we have a little more intimate conversations there, and same kind of vibe as the Facebook group, but we want to do something special for our Patreon followers. So make sure.
I will tell you, there are things that I talk about in the Discord that will never come up on this show.
Yep,
So,
that's fair. So yeah.
In fact, last night I was talking about some things on my trip that I would not bring up on the main show, but it's on the Discord.
If you're curious, make sure you guys go sign up on Patreon, and any tier will get you access to the Discord server. So go check it out.
Yep.
And as usual, if you guys want to leave us a review on iTunes, please do so. We definitely prefer the 5-star reviews, or Tom definitely does. You like seeing the numbers go up. Damon's on the other side where he enjoys the 1-star reviews, but just if you want to leave us a bad review, give us a good reason. Don't just say boring. That's that doesn't help. But we either way, we honestly appreciate any feedback you guys leave us. We appreciate all of our listeners, everyone who reaches out to us. It's great. We've kind of built this really fun community around this podcast. So just keep doing what you do, guys, and we'll just keep making episodes.
Yep, exactly. And don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, any podcast app out there. You can find us. Just search for Welcome Home. Look for the one that's Disney and DVC. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company. As such, all opinions we express on the show are our own, so please consult your DVC representative for more information about anything we talked about today. Big thank you to our sponsors, DVC Resale Market and Monera, for sponsoring this episode. Please check them out. They are great partners of ours, and we really appreciate when you work with them on purchasing resale contracts or financing resale contracts. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit its hair. How she can cuddle is no